Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about something very interesting to me personally in Legends Arceus, which is the new Pokemon moves that were released. Now, this game has about 24 new moves, and they are pretty powerful, at least a lot of them. Like, normally Pokemon will introduce a lot of, like, kind of useless moves, but in this case, a lot of them are really powerful. In terms of who I am, if you don't know, my name is Wolfe Glick. I'm a competitive Pokemon player. I'm the only Pokemon player to have won every level of tournament, including recently I'm the current US National Champion and Players Cup 2 Champion, as well as the World Champion from 2016. And I'm really interested in competitive Pokemon. So if you want to see a lot of kind of more in-depth, high-level competitive videos about Sword and Shield, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe anyway if you're interested. Do a lot of different content on the channel. So yeah. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into this now. I want to respect that people are trying to avoid spoilers, and so just for the context of this video, I'm not going to be talking about any of the Pokemon that learn these moves because I feel like people are typically more averse to Pokemon spoilers than they are to move spoilers. At this point, I feel like you're probably not going to discover all these moves on your own anyway. So I'm personally I haven't seen most of these moves myself, but I don't mind personally. So just so you're aware, I'm not going to talk about any Pokemon. I'm not going to be scrolling on the pages to see which Pokemon learn it. Yeah, so if you're trying to avoid Pokemon spoilers, then do not expect any in this video. Anyway, let's jump into it. So there are 24 new moves here of different types. And actually, no, I was gonna say they might all be they might be one of every type, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So I won't say that. Anyway, first move we're talking about is Barb Barrage. This is a really interesting move because it's basically it's a 60 base power move, 100% accurate. That's important. Any move that's under 100% accuracy will struggle a bit. But it's 60 base power, 100 accuracy, and what it says is the user launches countless toxic barbs to inflict damage. This may also poison the target. Okay, so this is basically a different version of Poison Jab. However, the move's power is doubled if the power has its status condition. This is very powerful, and you might be thinking, okay, well, okay, so let's talk about this. So for context, Venoshock is a 65 base power move, which doubles if the target has a status condition. However, it doesn't inflict poison. So basically, you lose 5 base power, 10 when it's doubled, and in exchange, you get a chance to poison the target. Now, you might be thinking that this is like a 10% poison chance, which is pretty common for strong moves with strong secondary effects, right? Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, those are all 10%. This is a 30% to standard and then 50% to strong. That's pretty powerful. To have between a 30 and a 50% chance to poison, and if they're already inflicted by a status condition, to have that power doubled is pretty significant. So, I mean, if you think about it, Flare Blitz, Close Combat, those are moves that are, 120, maybe 110 base power. I know Close Combat is 120, Flare Blitz might be 110, but those are moves that have a pretty negative, recoil effect. Basically, there's, tiers within the Pokemon moves where the really powerful moves, basically below 90 and 95 base power, moves typically have no drawback. So we're talking moves like Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Scald, and, if you have a strong secondary effect like Scald or Waterfall or Rock Slide, you're going to have a little bit less base power and sometimes less accuracy to compensate, right? But typically, up until 90, 95 base power, Moonblast, you're going to pretty much have no drawbacks to your moves. So that's kind of the bar right now for Pokemon. And then if you go above that at all, mostly so 110, 120 range, then you start to have more significant drawbacks. So moves like Thunder, Hydro Pump, Fire Blast, Blizzard, those moves all have decreased accuracy as a drawback. Moves like Close Combat, Superpower, Flare Blitz all have either stat lowering effects or recoil, Brave Bird, right? And then even above that, you have moves that are much stronger like Blast Burn and 150 base power moves, Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, which typically have pretty severe drawbacks like recharge turns. Now, if you think about it, this is a move that is 60 base power, not super strong, but can easily become 120 base power. So it is a bit situational because you're not going to be able to use it as burst damage, but if you had a Pokemon that could use this as an option, let's say you had Poison Jab plus Barb Barrage plus, Sec Covers move, on a Toxicroak, let's say Drain Punch or Low Kick, I think it could absolutely be strong. So this is a really strong move. Bitter Malice is somehow even stronger. So typically special moves are better than physical moves for the fact that you can't use Intimidate to lower special moves base power or special attacker stats. So this is a 60 base power, 60 base power, 100% accuracy, Ghost type, and keep in mind Ghost type is one of the strongest offensive moves in the game. Excuse me. And it can inflict Frostbite. So I'm going to have a video. Let me know if you want to see this one tomorrow or when you want to see it, because I'm still deciding on what I want to do. I have 10 or 11 videos planned at this point, so I'm not sure when I'm releasing all of them. But yeah, basically this one leaves the target with Frostbite. And I'll save more about Frostbite for the video on Frostbite, but it's a very powerful status condition. For those of you who don't know, I guess skip ahead 15 seconds if you don't want to know, but Frostbite is the special equivalent of Burn. So it does 1/16 of their health, and reduces their special attack stat instead of their attacking stat. So keep in mind that Scald is one of the best moves in the game, right? Scald has no drawbacks to 80 base power, and it has a 30% chance to burn. And if you burn a physical attacker, it can be pretty much game over for that Pokemon. Now, this, similar to the Barb move, is a 30% chance to Frostbite and 50% under if it's strong. So that's a very high rate of inflicting a secondary effect. And the thing about this is Bitter Malice is even better than Barb Barrage, because if you hit a Pokemon with if you get a special attacker with Bitter Malice, like, inflicting the Frostbite condition pretty much just invalidates a lot of special attackers because you're cutting their damage output by half. Unlike Barb Barrage, where inflicting a poison is nice for the damage, it does more damage, it does an 8th instead of a 16th, but, it doesn't, that Pokemon could still attack. Whereas with Bitter Malice, if you inflict Frostbite, then that special attackers lose so much, like 50% is just so significant. So, it's really significant. And the fact that it doubles in power, I mean, this is basically Hex, but it's a better version of Hex because it can inflict Frostbite, which is so much more powerful. So, and I think Hex is 65 base power, so they basically just made more powerful versions of Venoshock and Hex, which on the one hand is fair because, like, those moves were never really used, but on the other hand, they might have overdone it a bit. So yeah, this is an extraordinarily powerful move, 120 base power, with no drawback, and, if it's not inflicted by a status condition, it can inflict Frostbite, so, this is very, very powerful. Next up is Bleak Wind Storm. This is a flying attack that is 95 base power, only 80% accurate, but it does leave the target with Frostbite. I believe it's 30% and 50%. Yeah, same as before. So this is a very powerful move. However, it's not as noteworthy. Like, I'm not as worried about this one because the 80% accuracy is really inconsistent, especially in competitive Pokemon where, missing a move can be pretty. It can be a big impact. You basically never want to miss moves, in my opinion. So. This is a very powerful move, and it is nice to have another strong flying special attack. However, it's inconsistent, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But yeah, it's very strong if it hits. Ceaseless Edge is a 65 base power move that leaves the Shell Splinters behind. I don't know if this is guaranteed. It's 100%. Yeah, so it will always do this. So I'm not going to tell you all bad information. I don't know exactly how much the Shell Splinters do. It's hard to find for me, it's been hard to find actual numerical based. This is how much percent this does. A lot of the descriptions online say, and I'm talking about Drowsy now, so just skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to hear about Drowsy, but for Drowsy, a lot of descriptions say the Pokemon takes more damage. And that's not super helpful to me because if it's 10% more damage, that's one thing, but if it's 50% more damage, then that's pretty significant. So, so this is basically a passive damage effect. I imagine it does a 16th, but if it's more than that, it's going to be pretty significant. 90% accurate again, so anything 90, 95 you're kind of okay with, but anything below that accuracy, I start to get nervous. It's worth noting that this move isn't super high base power, so it's mostly going to be good in a Pokemon with low, who isn't it's mostly on a supportive Pokemon, like Incineroar, for example, could have made really good use of this move because it's not there to do burst damage, it's mostly there to be annoying and be supportive, and so being able to inflict a passive static percentage HP effect is really strong. This next move is super strong. I don't actually know which Pokemon this is on. It looks like it's on a Legendary because 120 base power with 95 accuracy is, pretty strong. However, it's worth noting that even though this is super strong, it damages the user and lowers the user's action speed. I assume in a mainline Pokemon, in a traditional Pokemon game, this would be closer to their speed stat. So, I mean, it's a really powerful move. And probably I don't know which Pokemon this is on, and I don't want to look it up during this video. So. This seems like a situational move to me, personally. It's going to be strong, it's like Venusaur in Pokemon Sword and Shield will run Frenzy Plant, which is, a pretty powerful move, but has a pretty significant drawback. And so this move is situational depending on the Pokemon. It's never going to be your only Grass-type move, I think, on a Pokemon, unless there's a mechanic like Dynamax where you can kind of, override it. But, it has a pretty significant drawback. We're seeing a lot of love for Poison here. So Dire Claw is a 60 base power move, a lot of 60 base power moves, 60 to 65. The user lashes at the target with Ruinous Claws, aiming to land a critical hit. This may also leave the target poisoned, paralyzed, or drowsy. So let's look at the effect rate for this. Okay. This is extraordinarily powerful. Oh lord. Okay, so there's a couple things to note here. It normally has a 50% effect rate, but it can go all the way up to 80 under the right conditions. And it has a boosted crit rate. So what that means is that if you were to give this Pokemon a scope lens, in a traditional Pokemon game, if you were to give this Pokemon a scope lens, then it it would crit 50% of the time. For those of you who don't know, critical hits work, and basically you can have 1, 2, or 3 stages of increased crit rate. At one stage, you go from 6.5% to 12, well, from 4%-ish to 12.5%, and then at 2 stages, you go to 50% crit, like you crit half your moves, and then at 3 stages, you get 100% of your crit moves. And the way that it works is that they're additive. So this Pokemon basically starts with +1. So if it gets +1 in another way, like via an item or an ability, it will go up to 50% crit rate. And if it gets +2, like via focus energy, that's 100% crit rate. Now the real thing here is not the crit rate, and although it is significant, it is the secondary effect here. So I mean, it's a little inconsistent, but like being able to paralyze or become like drowsy, which is again the sleep replacement, that's not insignificant at all. That's actually really significant. So poison isn't as big a deal, but you figure 50% of the time you get a status condition, and 2/3 of those you get some of the more powerful status conditions. Again, both paralysis and drowsy are very powerful, very, very powerful status conditions. This is a very strong move, especially in the right Pokemon. The only thing is that the crit rate is, or the base power is kind of low, but I think on the right Pokemon with the scope lens, this could be big. Excuse me. Or Esper Wing. So this is 75 base power, 90 accuracy, and the effect is that it raises the speed, and it has a +1 crit rate. So this is really good. I mean, basically what I have to say about Dire Claw and Esper Wing is that normally moves that, let's talk about Dire Claw. Normally moves that are going to inflict paralysis or inflict drowsy are moves that are very weak. So we're talking about Thunder Wave, which does no damage. We're talking about, Nuzzle, which is a very low base power move. And for Sleep, there's no real moves. There's no consistent moves except for like Relic Song, which is not legal in competitive Pokemon. That inflicts Sleep, as far as I'm aware, that do damage. So yeah, it's Yawn, Sleep Powder, Spore. I can't think of anything else. I could be forgetting something, but I don't think so. Maybe there's probably a G-Max move like Grimmsnarl. But basically moves typically don't inflict paralysis or drowsy consistently. Some moves obviously like Thunder and Thunderbolt do it, but it's inconsistent. And so to have 50% chance at one of those status, or 50% chance to activate a status, and then 2/3 to be a good one, is very powerful. And similarly here to raising the speed stat. So it's not even a chance to raise the speed stat, it's 100%. Effect rate, it's not really affecting anything there. So yeah, this is pretty significant, to be honest. Because on top of that, you also have a heightened crit rate. So a 75 base power move, which again, something like Scald's 80 base power, so it's not inherently weak. That raises your speed is really strong. So yeah, all these moves feel very powerful. Headlong Rush is a interesting move. It's 100, which is strong, but it lowers the user's defensive stats. So to me, this is kind of the ground equivalent of close combat, but ground already has a lot of really strong physical attacking moves, like for single battles you have Earthquake, but you also can just run High Horsepower or Drill Run as alternatives. You have Stomping Tantrum, so I don't think this move is really worth using, and I'm not really going to talk about it much. Inferno Parade, another one of our 60 base power moves. This may also leave the target with a burn. This is basically a stronger version of... This is the burn equivalent of the poison and the sleep moves. You already know what I have to say about this. It's extraordinarily powerful. Burn and Frostbite are very powerful status conditions, and to have a 30% chance of inflicting them while also doing damage and also doubling your damage if they're already inflicted by a status condition is very significant. Lunar Blessing. The user heals its own status conditions and restores its HP. Incoming moves become more likely to... Wait, this is just broken. Huh? Why does this exist? Am I missing something here? Maybe it doesn't heal that much HP. I have no idea. It doesn't say here... It doesn't say here how much health it heals, but if this is fit... So I guess I shouldn't talk about this soon, but if this is a 50%... If this is just an improved version of Recover, that is a... like, moves like Recover and Roost and stuff still, like, currently get play in Pokemon. Like, they're good. And so if this is just a stronger version of Recover, then that lowers accuracy, then this is actually broken. Mountain Gale. 5 base power, or 5 PP, doesn't matter. 100 base power, 85 accuracy. Yeah. Okay, this is just a strong physical Ice-type move, but it doesn't... if you watch my video on the Ice-type Pokemon, you'll know that, in my opinion, the real issue with Ice-type Pokemon is that a lot of the physical attackers don't have an accurate Ice-type move. You have Icicle Crash, which can miss. You have Icicle Spear, which can only hit 2 or 3 times. And then you have, like, weak moves like Ice Shard. Like, there isn't, like, a good Ice-type physical move. So, I mean, this is a better version of Icicle Crash, more or less, but it still doesn't fix the issue that it is 85% accurate. Mystical Power. This is a 70 base power, 90% accurate move. We can see some trends here. We see 60, 100, that double damage. We see a couple, this is 75, 90, this is 70, 90. Interesting. This is broken. Okay. Psy Shield Bash. So this is a psychic move, 70 base power, 90 accuracy. 90 is good. Like, it's going to miss enough that it's going to really tilt you, but it's still consistent enough that you'll use it. Unlike 80 or 85, which I won't use. This is a psychic physical attack that raises the user's defensive stats. Now, this is very, very, very powerful. I mean, raising your defensive stats while doing damage is a big deal. I guess it's also worth noting at this point that a lot of these moves in Legends Arceus are built for Legends Arceus. So, like, there's different stats, mechanics are different, and on top of that, the damage formula is different. So there's no guarantee that if these were in a mainland Pokemon game that they would be quite as powerful. But if these moves as is were in a traditional Pokemon game, super broken. Oh, it's not guaranteed. Wait, I misread it. It is. This may also raise the user's defensive stats. It doesn't say here. It doesn't say here what it does. Sorry. It doesn't say here if it's like what the effect rate is. It says effect rate -- so it's probably just not updated yet. So I guess it depends on what the effect rate is, but this can be very powerful. I mean, increasing your defenses while doing damage. The moves that do that are like Max Steel Spike, Max Quake. What are the moves that even do that? I can't think of any offhand. I'm sure there are some. There's moves that like Charge Beam and Fire Dance that raise your offensive stats, or Power Punch which raise your offensive stats, but I'm really struggling to think of any that do damage and raise your defensive stats. So I'll have to come back to this, but this could be really strong. The user rampages and spews vicious flames to inflict damage on the target, then becomes fixated on using this move. So basically, my understanding of the fixated status is that you do more damage by using the move, but you also take more damage when you're fixated. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting move. I'm not actually sure how powerful fixated is, so I don't really want to comment on this just yet. If that's all right with you all. Sandseer Storm. 95 power. Again, this is 80 accuracy, so it's probably not a move that I would use. However, it's guaranteed burn, which is kind of broken. You have a 95 base power special move that always burns. Oh. This is the effect rate is 30%, but the description makes it sound like it always happens. May leave the opponent with a burn. Okay, it's not guaranteed. Okay, then this is the accuracy is a turnoff for me. Otherwise, it'd be too powerful. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the other 95-81 we talked about, or where is it? Yeah. It's the equivalent of it's the equivalent of this. So it's a very powerful move, but you're not likely to hit it. You're going to miss it 1 in 5 times, which is pretty significant. So, for that reason, I think that it's not. I wouldn't use it personally in most cases, depending on the Pokemon, but it is very strong if it hits. Shelter raises your defenses and gives you the obscured condition. Super solid. I mean, this is a situational one. It's not going to be strong on every Pokemon, but I mean, being able to increase your defenses and basically increase your evasion is significant. So, yeah, definitely not a bad move at all. Really strong. It mostly depends on the Pokemon. Like, I can think of, like, if a Pokemon like Aegislash got this move, that'd be pretty significant, right? Like, a Pokemon with Recovery getting this move could be really big, but, yeah, like, if it's just given to kind of crappy Pokemon, it's not going to be that good. I think this is our first Fairy move. We've seen a lot of Psychic, some Poison, a couple Ghost. This is our first Fairy move. So let's see. It's another 80 accuracy, which again is bad. Interesting. Okay, this is something that looks dependent on a specific Pokemon. This looks like a unique move, so I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, so I don't want to click on this move. So we're just going to skip that one. Stone Axe. 90 accuracy, 65 base power. User swings the Stone Axe at the target, aiming to land a critical hit. Stone Splinters left behind by this attack continue to damage the target for several turns. So, this is another increased crit rate and has a secondary effect of the Splinter Storm Shards or whatever, Stone Splinters. Strong move, again, it kind of depends on the user and it also depends on the effect, on how much the shards do over turns. We've seen that passive damage, by the way, can be very, very powerful in like G-Max Vocalith, G-Max Wildfire, basically the Kanto starters, G-Max moves, and Colossal. However, that's a team-based effect, so it's like in contrast to moves like Fire Spin and Whirlpool, which were never used competitively. I mean, except for situationally. So, yeah, take heart. You're doing all you can. This move is also really strong. However, it doesn't heal its HP according to this. It just heals its status conditions. Okay. Oh, it raises all the stats except for speed. Okay. Omni Boost is very powerful in Pokemon. However, this doesn't raise speed. I think that this could be situationally a really strong move. However, it could also just be totally worthless, so I'm not sure. It really depends on the user for this one. But, I mean, being able to raise all of your stats by 1 is not a joke. Triple arrows. Okay, 50 base power, 100 accuracy. Delivers an axe kick. What's an axe kick? Oh, wait, no. I thought that these were... I was, like, talking about axes a lot. Axe kick then fires 3 arrows. This raises the chance of its future attacks landing a critical hit and also lowers the target's defensive stats. So, this move is obviously... This is really a move people are really excited about. This move I'm a little unsure how to feel about. When I look at it, it gets me excited, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is super strong. However, how much does it raise if the crit rate, does it say? Oh, it's priming. Okay. I'm not sure about this move personally, is the truth. I could see it being okay, but I could also see it being totally worthless because, like, okay, like a 50 base, let's say you use a 50 base power move and then you create your next 80 base power move, then that's 170 base power basically. Like 80 times 1.5 is 120 and then plus 50 is 170. So you've done like 170 base power worth of damage. So if you were to use like 2 90 base power moves or even like 2 80 base power moves, when you consider that it's not even guaranteed to crit, I think this also just increases your crit rate by 1 stage. Yeah, I'm not sure it's worth it. Then again, it does lower their defensive stats, so it could be doing more damage, but then it also gives them the opportunity to switch. So this move depends on the user, I think, depending on how good it will be. I could see it being good situationally, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't very good. Victory Dance, a fighting type move it's a status move. Performs the dance to usher in victory. This raises the user's offensive and defensive stats and increases the damage dealt by the user's moves by 50. Broken. Super broken. Because by raising your offensive stats, you're already increasing your damage output. So you don't need... Wait, this is the dumbest move I've ever seen in my entire... Am I missing something, or is this move just super broken? I think this move is just super broken. I really don't know what to say about this one. This one seems overpowered. Maybe with the stats system being different, it's not as overpowered, but this is like... I hope this never makes it to a mainline game. Okay. Wave Crash, 100% accuracy, 75 base power. With its whole body to inflict damage, this also damages the user and raises the user's action speed. I wonder if it says how much recoil it has. A third of the damage inflicted. This would be good in a mainline game because getting speed boost is kind of broken, but it doesn't seem like a super overpowered move, but in a mainline game this would be really good. I think this might be our first electric move at the very last. So last but not least, we have Wild Bolt Storm. This is again 80 accuracy, which means I wouldn't do it. 95 base power, accuracy or effect rate is 30%. So again, it's very strong if it hits. Singles players would like it. I don't like it personally because it can miss, and it misses a fair few times. So, yeah, that's actually all the new moves. So I hope you found this interesting. I'm really excited for this game and to see what, if anything, makes it over to main series Pokemon. But yeah, if you kind of want to get an idea of like how good the new moves are, these are my initial thoughts. So thank you for watching. Once again, please remember to subscribe, and I'll be posting pretty much every day new Legends Arceus content. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow with more. Maybe I'll make one on the new status conditions tomorrow. If you have anything in particular you want to see, just let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.